11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every weeknight at midnight-ish Eastern, where we chat about guns for an hour. It's episode 795. Next Friday will be our 800th episode. Maybe we could talk about some suggestions for an 800th episode. It's unprecedented. No other live show has ever attained 800 episodes. So we'll have to do something for it. And it's illegal to have an 800 Magnum, so I don't know what we're going to do. Anyway, it's evolved over the years. It's now a panel discussion. If you want to join in the show, you can jump over on gunchannels.com, a community built by gun people for the conversation on guns. So if you'd like to be part of this one, that's the place to head. And we got people joining us from all over the country. Cycle Camp jumping in from Connecticut. Thanks for joining. People.
Hi, everybody.
Dead Horse jumping in from Utah. Thanks for jumping in.
Howdy.
Ghost floated in from Arkansas. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. We're the real Kansas.
Then, maybe we're going to hear from another Kansidian. Gary's jumping in from the old-fashioned Kansas with just one Kansas in its name.
At least we know how to pronounce Kansas. Thanks for the invite.
And you have and the Arkansas River goes right up into Kansas, and they just deal with it. So
that's
that
right.
would be the Arkansas River.
We have AR built in Arkansas, so you know.
And then we got Snob, who somehow lives life in between the two of them, keeping everybody happy in Oklahoma. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, and I have the Arkansas River right here, so you know.
And then Dano has a link now. We let him come in, but we let him come in after everybody else. So in case there's still room, he can jump in. So, yeah, we're going to talk about tech. We talk about industry on Fridays. We've got a gun shop. One of the reasons we do this show on a daily basis from starting a long time ago is appreciation for gun shops and what they do, what they offer for our community. And we wanted to focus on a new gun shop every day. Ideally, we would have been on 795 gun shops by now, but we're not perfect, so we're efforting towards that. But we do have a new one to talk about tonight. But as far as tech or industry, anybody have any tech or industry related items to chat about tonight?
Well, I know you were asking earlier over in the Wanamaker, about what some people took there, but NRA might be a little bit different. Now people have gone to Wanamaker and stuff like that, but when they're going to NRA, they might have a different setup from what they've learned from other shows they've gone to.
Who else going to NRA in here? Cycle is not, correct?
No,
I don't think
no
he
old
is.
guns.
And then, so even if you had no issues, ultimate resources, time on your hands, would you go to NRA, or because of what it is, you wouldn't go no matter what?
No, I might go if it was like, if it wasn't, right after Wanamaker, and if it wasn't like I do my first big cruise of the year. This is just a real tough time for me to fit in another show.
Okay. Dead Horse is not going. Ghost is going or not going?
Oh, yeah. I'll be there. Oh, yeah.
Gizzard going? Not going?
Not going.
So it's just you and is Snob going?
I'm going.
So it's just Snob and Ghost. Look at all the G's we got in here this time. We've got Ghost going and Snob going. So I guess that's sort of a narrow-casted question, though. But I mean, you can answer your own question if you change. The question was basically if you're changing your gear up, right? Like changing anything up in your coverage equipment.
Yeah. I change up. I'm taking my SHOT Show rig to NRA. When I go to Wanamaker, I usually take my phone and maybe a tripod, but yeah, I'll take the whole rig up for NRA this time.
And Snob, you changed anything? Learn any lessons at Wanamaker here last week?
No, I'm not really changing anything because I just built my whole rig and stuff just before Wanamaker. I've been getting it all ready to go, so I wanted to try it and learn some stuff with it, and stuff like that. I'm gonna train my wife a little more on how to hold the camera to get the better shots. But luckily, I had the GoPro on top, so it got everything too, so it wasn't a big deal.
But
the only thing I would
train his wife when she's asleep, so she doesn't hear it.
Oh, you're darn right. I ain't gonna say it out loud.
You use like the clicker method, where like
yeah. Well, shot collar works pretty good.
I was gonna say like a positive type of reinforcement as opposed to a negative reinforcement.
You throw her a tennis ball when she does good, and it works out well. But if I want her to know that, I'll tell her myself, folks. Everyone out there in the chat. No, one thing that I wish I could change before then, but I'm not able to because I'm saving my money for NRA, is I wish I could get the Rode wireless mics, lav mics, versus having the wired live mics. They're kind of a headache, but that's just one of them things.
I actually, I was thinking about that, and you can do what you want. And I was talking to some people at SHOT that had them, and they are much more convenient because they are wireless. But I also heard that they're not as strong. They don't pick up as much clarity. It's more of a kind of a cave, like echoey type, from what I hear. I don't know though.
Well, I don't know. Sarge has the Road Link or whatever, and it's really good. I played with it a little bit when we was in Tulsa and stuff, but now Rode just came out with a brand new one. It's like half the price. It's supposed to be just as good quality. So
nice.
But either way, it's still $400 I ain't got to spend on that right now. So I'm just going to deal with the wires.
Reaction when you mentioned that to him in a chat yesterday, I could hear the
the $400 for just the microphone.
Okay, well they were $400 for one set for the receiver and the wireless lav receiver.
You're talking about a microphone that attaches to a collar and then has a radio set and a receiver. So that's a lot of stuff. Okay. All
right, they were $400 for that. Now Rode has came out with one that's like $170 each, so you can get two of them for the price that what one was costing you.
Now, is that the kind of thing where you can get one set and then supplemental unit like mics, or do you need to buy a complete? You don't need to buy a complete set. Like if you had three people you wanted to mic up, that goes to one receiving unit that goes in there.
with the Rodes you have to buy. That's the worst problem with them.
Channels,
you have to buy the individual channel ones.
Okay, and then does that? Well, that makes sense. Then do they still have a way to connect all to the same input?
So you can get a mixer. Those mixers are about $40 or so for the decent.
So it requires another piece of equipment to mix, and then you mix them, and then you can adjust the volume and whatever for each person if they're in different situations or different.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what kind of distance for $400? How far away can you get from somebody?
They'll go quite a ways.
The hell's quite a ways. I know it at
7,500 feet or so.
Okay.
With good quality.
Okay.
I did see something online that I was looking at a couple weeks ago, and I might try it out. They're only about $40, which for microphones really isn't that bad. But they were Bluetooth lavaliers that you could. I
saw those,
and you could hook up to like an old cell phone that if you wanted to use. Like I use an old S5 Galaxy for my audio recording. But they're a lavalier mic, but they Bluetooth to whatever you want to hook up to the Bluetooth. So that could be interesting. I haven't tried it out yet, but I haven't even seen anyone that has them. But that was interesting.
I have seen those. But see, one thing I got is this Tashkent, or not, what is mine? Mine's a Zoom audio recorder, so I can monitor my audio. So that worked out really good for me. Like at the show, I had Stacy with the muffs on holding the camera, and she could turn up the gain on it or whatever. Once we were in there and actually talking to the people before we hit record, she could adjust it and hear the audio through the muffs. So that helped tremendously. I learned just to be able to monitor the audio, but I also had the privilege of having someone to record for me.
Yeah, there are a lot of apps. Like if you plug your lavalier into your phone like I do, there are a lot of different voice recorder apps that are out there, and some of them do have equalizers and stuff like that you can mess with. So that's a pretty cool thing to look at, and most of them are free.
Yeah. Are we answering that question?
Go for it. Tim asked on the Gun Channel side, he has a question for the panel. What kind of camera other than the phone did everyone start out with? So I'm going to go right to left. Snob, what'd you start with?
I started with a Canon Vixia RF 800 video camera and still have it, still use it some.
So nobody's going to just know what that is. You're basically talking a digital camcorder where the monitor flips over from the side. It's sort of like a miniature VHS.
Yeah, and it records in 1080, 60 frames a second, and also it has a mic input and audio output, so you can monitor your audio going through that camera. That was one reason why I chose that one.
So it's almost a level up from a basic model, at least, or if not a couple of levels up from a basic
Yeah,
model.
and it wasn't that expensive. I mean, it was really, I think it right now it's like $249 or something. I'm sure you can find them cheaper than that.
Does it look like an SLR, or does it look like
Well, I'll show you.
old
Right
VHS
here
type?
beside me. Somewhere right here beside me. It is. It's literally this little bitty.
Okay, yeah. I don't know what
Tiny.
to call that kind of format. What is that format called? Camcorder?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little digital camcorder.
Yep.
The only bad thing is it doesn't have a shoe on top to mount the microphone, so I've actually got a mount it sets on and then comes over and has a shoe, but I don't use it that much anymore. And it's good video quality. It's just not as good as a DSLR or the GoPro.
Okay.
The new
Daniel?
GoPro.
Daniel, what did you start with besides a phone camera?
My is a Kodak. I forget if it's called a Play or a Touch. It's a form factor of like a cell phone. But what it doesn't have, which I didn't realize at the time would be a major drawback, is I cannot, if I put it like on a tripod in front of me, I can see me. But if I'm viewing something else and the camera's pointed at me, I can't see the screen. So having that, like the one that Snob just had up there, where you can rotate the screen, is of major importance.
Yeah, and that's one thing I really looked into when I was buying a DSLR. I wanted the rotating screen, not so I didn't have to use my phone app to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't want to.
So, Gizzard.
I've always used my phone.
Snap. Okay. Ghost.
When I first started, I used my phone, and then I kind of quote unquote stole my wife's Sony camcorder, kind of like Snob's, but it's just Sony. Started using that because it was easier to put on a tripod, and then I always used my phone for audio. So if you're starting out, it sounds bad. If you find anything that can record in 1080, you're going to be fine. But try to find something that you can record audio separately. Typically, unless you have a jack in your camera for audio, don't just go off of the external mic on cameras, because it's usually pretty bad audio and it sounds bad, but you'll get a lot of hate in your videos if audio is bad. So always, it's not just the video side, but always try to make sure you have audio, good audio as well.
But I've also seen people recover videos by if all of a sudden there's a gust of wind, they'll actually type in or have a card come up that'll say the next couple sentences of what the person was saying, so it can be heard. It's a way of recovering, so you don't lose that video.
Like when this goes to playback, I'll edit out Dano interrupting us like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Dead Horse, what camera did you start with?
I got a package coming for you tomorrow morning.
That was scary. I started out with a higher end Kodak Easy Share camera, a little handheld digital camera with like the little screen on the back. You know, it looks just like a normal little handheld, small, like credit card size type camera. And I think it was like $160, and it took excellent video and audio for, you know, the size of it for what it was. And then I shot it. So I've learned since then that the cheap, you know, $10 or $20 Chinese digital cameras work just as good for just target footage sitting down there by your target, right? So I don't put expensive cameras down by my targets anymore.
You can get a cheap piece of plexiglass or something to put in front of it. It'll get the shrapnel sometimes.
Yeah, or like my son has like a Chinese version, I guess, of a GoPro, and I think it was like he bought it. I think he paid like $30 for it or something brand new, and it takes pretty decent stuff for the $30, like video. But for like a target camera, since it has that little plastic case wrapped around it and stuff, like that seems to be working pretty good. We borrow that from him quite often.
So I've never actually used one of those. So you said that the quality of video of those Chinese things are pretty decent.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say is not decent is that there's like special lenses that come with it, and he likes to use a thing called a fisheye lens for the skateboarders. I guess that's real popular for like skateboarding footage, and it doesn't take the best fisheye lens. Like something happens to it when you put that on, to where the whole edge of the screen's kind of like really distorted and blurry. But other than that gripe, like everything else seems to just work really good on it for $30. I mean, I think it works just as good as my $150 Nikon Coolpix 20 megapixel camera I have here. Like you put them side by side. In some cases, the audio is probably better on the Nikon Coolpix, but honestly, the actual quality of the image is probably better on that Chinese GoPro.
And you can get those on like Amazon or something, because I'm interested in that.
I think he bought his at Walmart for $30, like with his birthday
wow.
money. He just came home with it, so he didn't order it or nothing. I'm almost positive he bought his just at Walmart, and it's some like off-brand name like Vector or something, but it looks just like a GoPro, exactly like it.
I use my old GoPro that I bought at a pawn shop for $40, my 3+ Black, for a Target camera, because you can buy those cheap, the housings for them real cheap, and that's what I use.
I still use those as well.
Target. I ain't gonna put my Hero 7 down there.
Now for Target for range stuff, I use multiple cameras. Obviously, I'll use my GoPro as my target cam because of what Dead Horse and Snob is saying. Is if you have mine, I think is a clear see-through case. It's like a waterproof case basically, but you can put that on a tripod and you don't have to worry about any shrapnel coming off steel or whatever. So that's what I use as my target cam. So if you've got a GoPro lying around, I mean, it's 1080 and it's great stuff. So I would definitely recommend GoPros if you've got them. You can find those on eBay, probably pretty cheap used.
I bought mine at a pawn shop for $40, and it's a 3+ Black, so it shoots 4K and everything. I mean, it's a good one. It's not nothing like the Hero 7 that I got now, but that one's still great.
The technology has come so far that even like the cheaper cameras nowadays seem to be taking pretty decent video. I mean, of course it's not going to be as good as the high-end stuff, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's like bad quality like maybe what digital was 10 years ago.
The only big problem I can find with the cheaper cameras is not their video quality. It's just there's no audio input.
Yeah, audio, exactly. That's why I said the Nikon Coolpix definitely does better audio. But other than that, but for like target footage, sitting down at a target, who cares about audio, right?
Now, Dead Horse can ask a question about that. I'm actually really interested in this. How is the battery life on something like that? A $30 kind of GoPro? Is it
2 hours?
2
hours.
Well, that's kind of good if you're going to a range stuff. That's perfect.
Is it a replaceable battery where you can hot swap it while you're out there?
His is rechargeable. His you just plug in his camera to any USB or.
Oh, so can you charge it while using it? If so, you could put it on a power pack and.
Yep, you can charge it while you use it, and that's one reason he said he liked his better than his friend's real GoPro, is because his friend's real GoPro wouldn't let him like charge it while using it.
I can charge mine and use that. I don't know about my old one, but my new one.
Yeah, that might be the older ones. I'm sure it's an older one. I'm sure his friend doesn't have one of the new ones.
Yeah, my 3+ won't let me use it when charging it.
I didn't know that. I've never tried my 3+ for that, but my Hero 7 Black will. I mean, I use it all the time on the hook to the charger.
Woods says the only problem with those Chinese cameras is you have to film again in like 4 hours.
There's a joke there. I'm going to let it go.
But honestly, like I tend to use my phone. I think a lot of us probably use our phone though, right?
Well, yeah, but that's what he was asking is what we started with camera-wise.
Phones are the best way because you've got good quality and it's right there. You're always going to have your phone with you no matter where you are. So
let's get to Cycle, who's trying to get Gizzarded out of here. What camera did you start with besides the phone?
I used my phone, and then this time I just used my phone. And previous times I used my phone and I switched over to my little Chinese camera that I use again, like these other guys do. But the Chinese camera runs on a couple of AA's and just doesn't have the battery life. I mean, I carry extra batteries with me, but it was really just a pain in the ass. And the other thing I found with the little Chinese camera was the sound wasn't that good. So with my regular telephone, the sound was just so much better with my Android phone. So I from now on I pretty much stick with my Android phone for all of that. And of course you hear me muttering under my breath the whole time, and that's it picks it up real well. So so that's the one I go with.
See, that's the good stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of in a lot of the things I just leave it in. So it's all part of the fun, depending on how Tourette I am that particular day.
So I started using video on digital cameras. I remember getting a 1 megapixel digital camera and being impressed with it. And then it had, or one of those early cameras back in the beginning of the 2000s, like the beginning of digital cameras being affordable, they would have little bursts of video sometimes. I don't even know if it was 480 back then. So I can remember putting my first videos on YouTube with those little bursts of JPEGs or whatever they have been, whatever they were, little bursts of file or video files. And then at some point I bought a, probably at the time, like $150-ish camera that was at the end of its serviceable life, like Sony or whatever, probably a Sony brand, was about to come out with, maybe it already had 2 better models, and this model was probably next year not going to be warranted anymore or serviced anymore. So it was like an old model, but still technically current. I probably started with a model of that level. Probably, I'm guessing, because I'm cheap, I would have never spent more than $100 on a camera like that, even then. So I'm guessing probably like $100 camera. I know that eventually, though, I was able to, I just kept buying that exact same camera almost the entire time I did YouTube stuff. Made more money than some people would like to, or it's embarrassing the amount of money I made on a camera that costs like $100. And I eventually started buying those cameras on YouTube, or on eBay, for like 50 to 40, because they were old and they were being replaced. So I could buy like a showroom sample years after it was no longer a useful camera for anybody, and still was able to get, I think, probably 720 out of them. And I'd probably gone through 8 of those, shooting them and dropping them and just getting them wet and things. They were okay, but they weren't rugged by any means. And once they got to the $50 level, I got more and more casual with them, because I knew I could replace them, and I bought the same camera every time, because then I could swap out parts. I could take 2 or 3 broken ones and get one working. The batteries, every time I ruined a camera, I still had a battery and the charger and stuff. So the interchangeability of its accessories was nice. But this was way before I worried about audio like you guys are doing. So mine's just more like interesting old man stuff, because that camera would probably be worth like $20 today, and you guys would all laugh at it because it doesn't have any audio imports, and it probably was lucky to do 720 on it. Back then I just wanted SD cards and removable batteries. So taking that into account, I guess phones included, do you guys look for removable storage and replaceable batteries? Or like you guys just kind of talked about, that camera that Dead Horse is talking about, you could probably almost use that on a solar trickle charger. At least in Arizona I could, leaving it out at the Target all day long.
For me, storage is a huge, that's why I kind of stick with Galaxy phones, is you have the external storage capabilities that iPhones don't. But the GoPro, you're talking external storage, and the Sony Handycam that I have, and I just got last year a Canon DSLR that does external memory. So for me, the external memory is crucial. I honestly, the battery life, to a certain extent, really doesn't matter if I can go buy multiple batteries. For me, it's really the memory, external memory, SD cards. If they're capable to have those, then that's really what I'm looking at for my stuff.
My phone doesn't have a removable battery because it's an X Power, so it has like twice as large of a battery as like a normal cell phone. And so and storage, it had, like, you can remove storage, but it's a pain in the ass. Like, it doesn't just have some easy little tray on the side of it. Like, you gotta actually dig into the phone to get the little SD card out. So I just bought a 128 gigabyte SD card, and really, I mean, I have probably, I don't know, like 3,000 pictures, and who knows how many hours of video. Like, 6 hours of video or something at least on my phone, and just all sorts of stuff. And I think I'm only like halfway filled up. So I don't know. 128 gigs is a lot when it's just really mostly just video and pictures, I think.
Well, you know, one thing that I originally bought it as a target cam before I got the GoPro, the older GoPro, is a little, what is it? Hold on, let me open it and see what it is. It's an ELPH, Canon ELPH Power Shot that does 1080. It's an older one. I bought it at a pawn shop for like 25 or 30 bucks. Takes really good video for a cheap and little camera. It's just a little point and shoot camera. And it was perfect for that. But one thing I learned about it that I didn't know about it is it only takes 10-minute videos at a time. I mean, I've got a 32 gigabyte SD card in it, so it'll take tons of video, but it's only 10 minutes at a time, and that's kind of frustrating. So it just sits in a case in a drawer most of the time.
Actually, I had that same problem with mine, and I found out if you dug far enough into the menus, you could change that. There was a default length of videos, and you could change it up higher. But sometimes it depends on the file management system they use. And, you know, if you're taking the highest resolution, you know, once you get pretty close to 3 gigs, it's gonna say, no, I can't do this anymore because it can't physically handle the data set size. If it's an older, you know, it's an older Jap camera, Chinese camera.
Which, you know, anymore it doesn't even matter to me because I don't really use this camera for anything. Just if I, you know, filming a holster making video or something, I can set it over on the saw or something and just, you know, kick it on when I need it. But other than that, I don't really ever use it.
So I'm changing the subject. Unless somebody's got something to add, you know, feel free to throw out there. But I'm at palette cleanse pivot right here. Going forward, knowing what you know, doesn't matter what tech is capable of because, you know, robots will make it happen. What's the ultimate camera? At least the ultimate camera for what we do. Taking coverage of shows, doing reviews, shooting guns.
I know. So
it doesn't have to exist. I'm asking.
Go ahead. Yeah, I got it. I've already thought about this. I have it figured out. The ultimate camera is like a super HD, like, you know, 6K or whatever the next thing is, like not even 4K, but like the next thing after that, right? 6K HD thing, but it's all inside of a contact lens, the size of a contact lens, right? You put it in your eye, and now instead of some weird angle off to the side or down low or whatever, like it's exactly what you're looking at, right? And you know, so like, you know, and you don't have to worry about really like, you know, swinging the camera back and forth, like whatever you're looking at, that's the camera. Like there you go, bang. You just say something, start like record. Okay, Google record or whatever, and the thing starts recording, and you know, and it's powered by it doesn't even need batteries. It's powered by you. So
powered by you're putting Google in your eye now.
Well, whoever is, you know, it's going to be like Google or iPhone or you know, it's going to be something like that. Who makes that?
I hear you, and I'm not disagreeing with that being a neat thing. But what I like about a camera a lot of times is I can like. Even with my phones, it's not as easy as my phones as like when the camera, like whatever you call what Snob had there. That was my favorite. Having the viewfinder can go up and down, but also kind of pivot out and in and out a little bit. Because what I like to do is take my camera and shove it on the ground, looking up to like get a forced perspective. Sometimes I did a picture recently with like the van out in the desert, and I wanted to get like the saguaro up behind it. You know, so I dropped the camera to the ground. I don't necessarily want to have to lay on the ground and look up. You know what I mean? So that's where I like having a camera in my hands, so I can stick it up around corners or like under something. But I mean, I could totally see having a camera in your eye. That would be. I mean, I'm hoping we have at least interfaces so we don't have to have stupid monitors at all, right? I want my eye to be my screen so that, you know, like it's like Iron Man or whatever. You know, you're just all in your peripherals is all your stuff.
Yep.
All your knowledge. Anybody else have a perfect camera?
I have a real life perfect camera. My GoPro Hero 7 Black, I wouldn't trade that thing for the world. If I only had to have one camera left now, I would use this one for everything.
Show us it if you got it handy.
Hold on.
Is it a regular GoPro or is it a different form factor?
It's the newest GoPro. It's got the monitor on the back. But of course, it doesn't have a flip around lens, but it's nothing to open the GoPro app and control it and watch it on your phone.
So you can still monitor it through your phone And so if you stuck it on a pole or on the front of your car, you know what it's looking at, and you can swap it from your phone. Can you adjust like ISO or brightness?
Oh yeah, every adjustment on it you can do
on the
from
fly.
Your phone, and you can go live from it. Oh. And like the picture we took of all of us holding the G patches at the motel Saturday night when we had so many people, we couldn't get up high enough, so I stuck it on a pole and held it up there, and you just say, GoPro, take a photo. And it took the photo.
I don't like that idea, but I like the concept.
Well, you can turn that on and off. I usually have it off because it eats battery when it's on, but I turned it on for that.
It saved the day. It literally saved the day that night we took that picture, yeah.
We all could be like carrying heavy things more often, like hang from one arm more, and that'll lengthen those arms.
and you took that photo at night, and that photo came out like pretty dang clear.
Oh yeah, this camera, I'm very impressed, and it's only like I think it's only a 12 megapixel camera as far as a sensor, but it takes really good video. I mean,
how much money are we talking now?
It's $400, but they have $100 off if you trade in.
I misunderstood. My mic's not working, or my speakers aren't working. $400?
Yeah, I got it for $300 plus tax. Trading it in, but yeah, but a DSLR, is a new DSLR is $1,000.
But a DSLR can take a heck of a still picture. People with DSLR take some of the really nice. Now, although Clover's new camera, Clover's new phone, I should say, he refuses to jump in tonight for whatever reason. But his new phone is as good as any SLR I've seen in the past.
Yeah, this new phone that I got the 9 Plus. He's big time. I got the 10 Plus, but I got the 9 Plus, and this thing is unbelievable. This is the best camera I've ever seen. And I've got a DSLR, and it's great. But the camera on this phone is unbelievable.
A DSLR, you can stick like a wide angle, the fisheye, like you were talking about.
Yeah, you can do all sorts of stuff.
Lenses like that. You can get telephotos and take real pictures with the DSLR, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can get all sorts of different attachments and different lenses for the DSLR, which is awesome. You can do whatever you want. But if you're just looking for a basic camera, so then it's versatile and mobile and all that. I mean, if you can get a camera in the latest phone, I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's super slow-mo. I mean, also 960 frames per second on a slow-mo video. It's pretty cool.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, this GoPro's 240, and I thought that was awesome. And then I heard that, I was like, wow.
So you said that's only 12 megapixels?
Yeah, the actual GoPro camera is only 12 megapixels.
So yeah, I watched a thing on that said that you can't necessarily go off the megapixels. It's how like the pixels transition together.
Yeah,
so
it's something to do with the sensor size is what the megapixels actually means, and people don't understand that, and I don't either. But
yeah, and I bet you it's just like gun optics that where the cheaper ones are gonna fail are like in different lighting conditions, indoors, low light at night, stuff like that, and. So yeah, that was a really good picture. I wouldn't even have thought that was like really like taken like at night.
Yeah.
Does that GoPro allow you to plug in other microphones?
Yeah, with the adapter that's out of stock everywhere right now. You literally cannot get it anywhere. It's got a $50 adapter, which Sarge and Obnoxious both had one, and we used theirs whenever we live streamed at Wanamaker. Did the little round table thing when we was all sitting in the couches. We used this, and I had to plug in one of their adapters because I don't have one yet. And I was going to order one before then, and now they're out of stock, and I can't find them anywhere other than for like $120 on eBay, and I ain't giving that much for one. They'll be back in stock.
So how do you live stream with a GoPro? Because mine won't do that.
Yeah, it's only the Hero 7 Black is able to do that. It's a new feature, and you just go into the app, and you can do Facebook or YouTube Live, and then it runs through your phone app.
What if you don't have thousands of
on Dead Horse's ultimate camera, aka Mark of the Beast, no go.
Wait, what?
I'm lost.
You're saying
that my contact lens camera is like the Mark of the Beast.
Yeah, I'm not implanting any technology in my body. Period.
That in your body, it's on your eye. It's a contact lens. It's not a pacemaker.
Yeah. Until you close your eye, and then all of a sudden it's in your eye.
Okay. All right.
I have a question. Why are you worried about the number of megapixels on a camera when you're uploading in 720p? Does it even matter?
I upload everything in 1080, and I'm fixing to go to 4K whenever I get a new laptop.
So you put on YouTube in 4K?
In 1080 right now.
Nobody else is willing to answer, Gary? You challenged them all. I upload in 1080, I think, also, don't I?
The only thing that I do in 720 is the Hangouts, because that's the maximum it will do.
But I'm going to throw out there, I think that's a great point, because, okay, I haven't thought about this in a long time, but Gary's point made you think about it. My inclination is to record in whatever you possibly can, because in the future, whatever it is, it's going to look gross, right? And I look at stuff that I was super proud of years ago, and it's almost not even useful anymore. So record in as big as you possibly can, because you're 100% correct today, but maybe in a year from now, it's going to be different. Maybe 5G happens and we're all at internet speeds. I mean, phone internet speeds that dwarf our home internet speeds. And, the next level of internet that we didn't see coming comes, then we'll be able to use those larger files. But that regardless, that's science fiction, maybe, assuming the technology keeps going. But something that's untapped, and I don't think anybody's ever talked about it, is taking your video at whatever high resolution you've got now and then recording it onto DVD, like actually putting it on optical medium, or I guess on a drive, right? But actually putting it on something that doesn't need to use the internet as the transfer medium, because then you have the option to set out like maybe what's the equivalent of a headshots for like an actor. To like a company. How many people have thought about making a thumb drive, buying a bunch of inexpensive thumb drives somewhere, that maybe get a sticker from Angelina or something that you put on there, like this is the Ghost drive or something, this is the Gizzard promo reel, and then you send that to someone and it says in there like, hey, I'm interested in working with you, here's some of what I do, and it's like big giant fancy video that they can look at and go, wow, this is neat, and use your cameras to their full extent. And then maybe something with Patreon, like maybe you send out a DVD or a thumb drive to people that are interested in it. And that gives you something different, gives us all something different to create that's similar but different than what we're doing. And imagine if someone were to take on a project of a J.M. Davis thumb drive or a J.M. Davis DVD and accumulated the good footage from each of the people that have attended, and we call it like the Gun Channel's J.M. Davis yearbook, or maybe the Gun Channel's Tulsa yearbook, and we include chapters on J.M. Davis and chapters like when Cycle went to the Colt Museum last year, right? The show itself and the people that we've met there, and then put something on a DVD. Who cares if only a couple of people look at it? We're not looking at making rich about it, getting rich from it. But in the future, when people are standing around in Star Trek days and they're like, I wonder what J.M. Davis was like. Why should they only get junky Instagram pictures and 720 YouTube videos when all of our hard drives have those 1080p crisp, top of the line video? Maybe there's something else we could be doing.
Well, I mean, I've been sending out floppy disks with my stuff on it to all these industry companies, and none of them have responded. I don't know why.
You like fax them. Hey, can you fax me your PO box, and I'm going to send you some floppies. 600 or 5.5-inch floppies.
Yeah, that's for a 1 minute video.
The biggest problem that snobs have is he's still trying to text message you. You'll click the name back in the 1800s, telegraph.
You're breaking up.
He has to telegraph text messaging.
You're breaking up pretty bad.
That was probably really funny, but we didn't hear any of it.
You were on the telegraph. Right there.
Can you hear me?
We heard you volume-wise, but it was weird. It was like a weird garble. Say it again.
Oh, that's weird.
You're good now.
I was saying that, the reason why Snob's not getting anything is he's sending text messages using a telegraph, so that could be one of the reasons also.
That may be it.
Now, Gizzard, to answer your question about, like, who cares about megapixels, I think, from my understanding, the megapixels are super important on video. And like whatever your camera's rated for, like megapixel wise, like it's taking video way less megapixels than that. Like that megapixel rating is always just for like photos. And if you're, I think 720p is only like 1,000,000 megapixels, right? And then I think like 1080p is like 2,000,000 megapixels. And I think the new 4K TV is only 8, megapixels.
Pixels. Megapixels are 1,000,000 or whatever.
Yeah. So the
Like
4K
8.
TV is like 8 megapixels. And then aspect ratio has like, I know, a ton to do with that. And that's why like the more you shrink your aspect ratio, the smoother things will be. Versus like 16:9, like I guess the standard nowadays 16:9. Like if you actually shrink that to like a 4:3 aspect ratio, like you'll have like smoother video, be able to capture like high speed better, stuff like that, fast motion better. But so between aspect ratio and the megapixels, I know that's really important when those two combine on what kind of video you're trying to capture.
And one other thing I'll add in there on the 4K is I've heard a lot of people in different like tech chats and tech channels say that YouTube marks your video as 4K whenever you upload in 4K. And they seem to think that helps YouTube promote your videos more. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I've heard that on several different channels.
YouTube will always promote the best stuff, best quality, fastest, always first, right?
Yeah, and I'm not an expert in all that stuff. I've just had to look up before, like how to take like the best high speed video that I can, right? And so I read about the megapixels and the aspect ratios, and I learned like, oh hey, if I shrink my aspect ratio down, even running at the same frames per second, like I'm getting better quality video and stuff like that. So I learned about that a little bit. I'm no expert on it, but like I learned about that a little bit. So I think that it does come into play when it comes with the aspect ratio versus what your megapixel size is, like what you're actually recording it.
One thing I want to get for my GoPro is a gun mount to go on a rail, like a Keymod rail or M-Lock mount for the GoPro. I think that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, I've seen those on eBay and stuff.
Yeah, I have too. I keep thinking I'll order one. I just haven't done it yet. Give kind of a different view. I'd also like to have one at the barrel clamp to put on my son's double barrel whenever he's shooting skeet stuff, just practicing. I think that'd be pretty neat.
I don't know. Do you think that the recoil of different guns, like maybe not a AR-15, but do you think like recoil of different guns could affect the electronics over time, like that constant sharp recoil impulse and stuff?
It might a regular camera. I don't think it'll bother a GoPro because they're built to withstand, mountain biking and stuff like that. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, those are like what are they called? Action cameras?
Yeah.
So you might not want to buy a Chinese one to put on your gun.
Yeah, it's going to depend on the gun. I mean, look how hard it is to get optics that work well on high-power rifles and stuff. Especially big ones. And it's very difficult to get an optic that works really well on a 12-gauge shotgun.
Do you think digital optics are going to become more a thing? Basically, a digital camera that zooms in and out with a crosshair, and having ballistic information hold over, like being able to input stuff like that, because it's basically a computer now. And they already have them out that are affordable for under $500, between the $400 and $500 range. But do you think that's going to become more prevalent and more manufacturers like Nikon and like who so happen to make scopes and cameras are going to like come to market with more digital options for us?
Yes. As soon as the first one figures out they can stick a binocular in there, a compass in there, into their binoculars or into their optics, and then since they figure out they can record them, they're going to make $1 million and everybody will do it. They're all jumping.
Well, yeah, ATN's already doing it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but if
Right
you
on
think about
CD.
like you just said, Nikon. I love my Nikon scopes I have, and I know Nikon makes good quality cameras. So once they combine them, I'll probably own one. You know, as long as it's not $3,000.
I mean,
And people have been combining those on YouTube for at least 10 years. I've been watching videos of people making their own digital scopes out
I've
of
got
like
an
Sony's
adapter.
cameras.
I've got an adapter, and I've never used it. I literally don't even know where it is. That I can mount my phone, and it mounts on my scope as like an end cap. And I've literally never even. I don't even think I've ever even taken it out of the package. I need to get it out and play with it one day.
I think absolutely, because just being able to download new reticles that you want to try out and see how it looks via while you're at the range. Well, let me try this one. Okay, now it's on your phone, or you're not.
I think there's an app, and I think it's called like Phone Scope or something, and you can buy a mount from them, or you can 3D print one, and it mounts your phone right on top of your rifle, and now your phone becomes your red dot. And you can choose between your reticle, you can zero it, and you're using your phone as your red dot, like or scope. You can zoom in. You can,
right. I'm assuming they would have both as an option. Do you want to use that, in an optic mode, or do you want to use it at, as a red dot mode, and then obviously being able to change it from bullet drop compensated, and then say, oh, I'm using this grain weight, not that grain weight, and change the reticle from this, that to the other, or 30 other options of reticles and colors.
But there's already a company that has an app that turns your phone into that. So like how long are we before like every company pretty much has an affordable digital scope option? And is that the future over this standard glass? Like, is that going to be the next wave? Like, you got to have basically like these digital optics, or you're like, not up with it with the times.
It'll exist, but it'll never replace the the hardwired kind, or else it'll always have the hardwired backup. It'll just be like iron sights. They'll have as many optics, and the optics will be as rugged as they can get, but they'll never fully replace. You don't build a gun without irons, no matter what glass you're putting on it or what electrics you're putting on it.
No.
Well, Adam has a question in the chat. Is there a go-to for making, editing video? He said, I've been interested in making videos, but I don't have much for equipment or even a computer to start. And that darn social anxiety gets in the way too.
I started with Microsoft Movie for free if you just want to make simple stuff. And currently I use Power Director, and it works okay. It's not fabulous, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I started with Movie Maker as well because it was just part of Windows. It was there, and for basic stuff, it does fine. But if you want to get beyond the basic, like voiceovers and other things, and more complicated things, then you need something a little bit better. What I use, I would not recommend, so I won't bother mentioning it.
No, mention it so we know what not to use.
Okay, I'll come back to me in a minute then.
In other words, he's got to go look and see what it's called.
It's AVS Video.
Oh yeah, that stuff sucks. I hate that stuff.
So why? Because the interface is poor, or it's limited abilities, or what is it about?
It's just really non-intuitive.
Yes, trying to find how to do voiceovers is I've never been able to find it. Trying to supplant audio over do an audio overlay over video is not intuitive.
So do you look at a piece of software and a task that you'd like to do that you're already not aware of how to do it? Do you look at the software or the tutorials, or do you go to YouTube and just type in let someone walk you through it?
With the path of least resistance, I've done both.
Okay, and even with YouTube, you're saying it's not a good software package,
right? I mean, we're using common terminology like voiceover. That should be part of a drop-down menu. I mean, because it shouldn't be called different things in different software packages.
Oh my gosh, that's so.
Now I realize it is, but I'm just saying for ease of use at an entry-level program, not an advanced user, but an entry-level program, there should be some commonality for common terms.
Basic things ought to be easy.
Yeah.
right? When you get a package, because we're human beings and we've learned a lot about this stuff. And if you get a package where you can't do basic things easily, throw it away and buy something else.
Yes.
I understand that there are unique, advanced features and stuff,
You know,
but stuff like Dano was talking about, where you're just trying to add an audio track along with the video you've got, like you've got like what I'm working on right now, actually, as we speak. I've got a series of pictures, and I'm gonna do an audio subtrack underneath them to describe the pictures for the hearing impaired. Right? I'm sorry, the hearing impaired. That was dumb. The visually impaired. That kind of stuff should be easy. Now, granted, going in and changing hues and gammas and chroma and all that kind of stuff, yeah, I can understand that's a little harder because that's an advanced function. But if you can't do the easy stuff easily, as far as I'm concerned, the software ain't worth looking at.
Yeah, not everybody's an Adobe person or willing or wanting to go down that trail. I mean,
that's what I was fixing to say. I use Adobe Premiere Pro. I absolutely love it. But if you don't have a week or 2 weeks or a month to learn it and want to spend some time learning it,
no way. That's, I mean, I hear you, but it doesn't take no month or a week or nothing anymore. I mean, you can go on YouTube and learn any software. Well,
and I'm not the basics, but like now I still go back and learn new stuff that I had like syncing. Whenever I got this separate audio recorder, I knew I could sync it some way easier than the way I've been doing it, because I've been looking for spikes in the audio and lining them up. Anyways, I go on YouTube and, of course, search it. In literally 2 seconds, I figured out you can sync it just like by highlighting them and click synchronize audio, and it takes no problem. It's so much easier. But there's so much Adobe can do that I don't even know it can do. But it's expensive, too. It's also $20 a month.
Okay, so Adobe is a large software platform for lots of different things, from video to illustration to animation to digital effects and everything. So their video is advanced, but it's by no means the best. Like, movie makers don't use it unless they have to or they're familiar with it. And typically they're going to use stuff at even a higher level. And Ballistic is saying something called hit film. So everybody's, I think, CycleCamp's the best advice for somebody that's new, and it's difficult for me, at least, to put myself in that position because I've been playing with cameras for my whole life. So digital cameras were just another in my interest in cameras, and then the internet was just a way to develop them and share them, right? So all of this stuff is just developed. So if someone's truly coming to cameras from zero, I don't know if I have the insight to to answer the basicest of questions or whatever, but I think using whatever's free in your software. So whatever Macs, we didn't know what he's using, but if he's using the Mac or whatever Apple operating system, it comes with something free, right? And I'm sure a lot of us have seen movies made in that. They have a style or like an intro that we've all seen, those pages and stuff that come from the, like, whatever that's called, like the free software. Same thing in Windows. And then that Power Director. Cycle, you said you're using Power Director, the new one or like an older one?
It's version 16. It's definitely not the Power Director 365, which is what they want to charge me like $6 a month to use. I don't do that stuff.
Okay, so that's the thing about Power Director, is you can get old versions and they work just fine. I was using a really old version because I started with Windows also, and then at some point, I forgot what it was. It was something like what Dan was talking about. Probably text on the screen was too limited, or it just wasn't, it was pretty basic stuff. So it was like working with those really, really big Lego blocks. You can build a square really easily, but if you're trying to build something with a little bit of finesse to it or something, you need a little bit better tool. So you can get an older version of Power Director. And Power Director, you guys that are using it, unless I'm wrong, same thing with any of these other softwares we've been talking about. You can go to YouTube and get instruction on a specific task or whatever, and even find out, like, oh, okay, what I'm trying to do here, I need Power Director, whatever, number 17 or something, or 15 or whatever different level I'm using.
And also, if you're just starting out with Power Director, they do offer their free one. It has a watermark down there. And I know it won't do everything the newer Power Directors will, but still, if you're just starting out and want to see if you like it, use the free CyberLink Power Director. I mean, it's free and does quite a bit, I think.
Yep. And it'll take you from that level. So I would say your free stuff on Windows is going to let you take your videos and put them together. So if you've got like 2 or 3 videos and put them together, it's going to let you trim them. So if you start the camera and you'd say something wrong, and then you just start, you do your meat of your video, but it's got something wrong with it at the beginning or at the end or in the middle, the or the Windows or the Apple software is going to easily let you take a bunch of video clips and put them together in one file, one project, edit them, chop them into pieces and remove pieces you don't want, shove them all together so that there's no gaps. It's going to let you put in a blank color screen or some sort of a text and let you write something on the screen, like a title or an ending credits or something like that. It'll let you put those words either on a blank color or on your video or something. So if you wanted to say, like, you know, label things on the actual video, you can definitely do that kind of thing, right? It's going to let you put a little bit of transition between, like a wipe or a fade or some sort of a transition between one clip and another. It's going to let you take a picture and put it in there like a slideshow along with your videos and your other different types of objects. And then once you're done, it's going to let you compile that into a finished video clip of different files. It's going to let you make a WAV or a MPEG or an MP3 for whatever happens to be that you need for YouTube or for whatever gun stream or a gun tube, right? It's going to do pretty much everything you need to make a fairly decent video. I think it does all those things. You guys are using it, right? And then maybe a couple of different things more. Now your Power Director and stuff is going to just give you more tools, right? It's going to give you the ability to do even more creative stuff or a little more editing ability. If it's a transition, it'll let you say how long it's going to be or add a color to something where before it was just boilerplate. It's going to let you put in probably more fonts or, like, you know, better text stuff on the screen, let that stuff fade in or have some kind of feature to it.
Is most of the current software today leaseware?
That's a good question. The expensive stuff is the stuff that has to compete with itself, with the competitors, you could say, needs to update faster than every year. You know, back in the day, they would come out with a version each year or less, like every couple of years sometimes. The stuff changes so quickly that they don't have a chance to come out just once a year. They'd be left in the dust. So I think it's a strategy to pay for the software a different way, for sure, but it's also enables the software to just be at a whole nother level. I mean, it's really neat what Adobe can do. I mean, I'm not selling Adobe or nothing,
right,
but wow, it is super really neat software. I mean, I've been using Power Director for a long time. I did thousands and thousands of videos of Power Director. It's powerful. Adobe is like a race car compared to a Jeep. Or no, what is Adobe? It's more like a cool, whatever, a fancy Hummer or like a, you know, a capable off-road vehicle that's, you know, maybe comfortable also.
Yeah. Now he's asking about a laptop, and I've been looking at laptops a lot lately. If you want to run like Adobe or one of the big programs, it takes pretty much a gaming laptop. If you want to run one of the other ones, and I wouldn't go out and buy that if I was just starting out, no way in the world. I'd just run whatever's free, run it on your phone. I've edited movies with iMovie on my phone. It can be done. So,
yeah,
you know, there's that. But, you know, if you're really wanting to get into it and do it, you know, with the best quality stuff, you're going to have to spend some money on a laptop and get a gaming laptop with like an i7 or something that power, at least an i5 powerful or better. Because I ran Adobe on my desktop, which is an i3, which is fast. It runs all this stuff, you know, Hangouts and all that, and did everything I did before YouTube. Great. You go to run an Adobe, it's constantly taking forever to render stuff and process stuff and doesn't keep up. But I moved up to an i7 that I bought at a pawn shop pretty cheap. And it's not a gaming laptop, but it's a fast i7 laptop. And it does really well, but it doesn't do 4K as well as I would like for it to. It takes forever with 4K, so I'm going to upgrade again before long to a gaming laptop. But if you want to know about that, go talk to Night Strike about that. He can tell you quite a bit about that. He's pretty smart when it comes to that stuff. At least he acts like it won.
I think starting off, at the lower end with what you have and the software that might be included free, it at least gives you time to get your feet wet and decide, is this something you really want to commit your finances to? Because you can spend a lot of money really quick, and then 3 months later decide that it's not really what you're not as thrilled as you thought you would be, and yet you've now committed all this money to it.
And that's one thing I did whenever I started it is I kind of course, I have a tendency to jump into things head first, and I went and bought a video camera. I went and and I didn't have to. I just did, and I bought a video camera. I bought mics. I bought Adobe Premiere, which I did not sign the contract at first. So for the first 6 months I was doing it, and I don't know why I didn't go back and fix it. I was paying $30 a month for Adobe Premiere instead of 20, just because I didn't want to sign the contract because I wanted to make sure it was something I was going to do. But yeah, I would definitely use what's free at first, at least, to make sure it's something you want to do before you go spending, a fortune. Because, just what I've acquired now, I've got several thousands of dollars in video and audio equipment now, and, not even anything professional by any means. But Gizzard, if he's still awake, can probably tell you quite a bit about iMovie, because I think that's what he uses quite a bit of, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I use all the time.
And is it the free version, or do you pay for yours?
No, you don't pay for it. It's free. It comes with the operating system, actually.
Well, see, I didn't know how it was. It's a lot more advanced, though, on the Mac than it is on a phone or iPad, correct?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of difference. But yeah, it's still free either way. Well, once you buy the $1,000 Mac.
Yeah. Well, I have it on my phone, and I've used it on my phone some just to edit like quick videos taken somewhere, and that works pretty well.
Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy to use. And yeah, if you can use it on the phone, you can use it on the computer too. You just got more options.
Yeah. And then also with the GoPros, which the software is free, but I don't know if it'll work with any other footage or not. But the GoPro Quick app, it's got a pretty neat little video editing app in itself.
They used to have a GoPro Studio, but I think they discontinued.
Well, it's gone. It's a Quick app now. But it's more, I'm going to say it's more geared toward Instagram videos, kind of shorter, minor length videos, but it works well for what it does.
But it makes promos and commercials really well. It's like for making little quick things. It's got built-in sound and transitions and all kinds of fancy text and stuff. Like with your thumb, you can make a, you go out, you do something neat, interesting. You see something happen, you take 3 or 4 stills, you take a couple of quick videos. It figures out how to squish them all together into whatever you tell it, 30 seconds, 50 seconds, 90 seconds. And then it puts like, a sample of 2 or 3 musics you can listen to. So you basically just kind of choose from like a few options, and you get like what seems like you would have given, or would you have paid like a place to like, produce for you. It's crazy. It comes out like a little well-made, produced little thing, and it's with your thumb on your phone. I'd really recommend that. That's the GoPro. I don't know what it's called anymore, but the GoPro Quick editing thing.
GoPro Quick. I've downloaded it on my phone, and I've played with it for like 5 minutes one day, and that's as far as I got. I really need to play with it some, because it's really neat what it can do.
I had to take the puppy out there. So Snob was just talking about computer as far as computer software situation, and that's a great point. I'm a big fan of the Adobe. It's not the best for everybody for sure, because it does cost money. I'm paying for all the Adobe, so that's more like $50 a month, I think. So it's totally worth it. I'm on the Adobe products almost as much as I'm on my browser. I really like them. They're not the best, they're not the only, they're just one of the most common. So you can like Ford, you can like Chevy, you can like whatever, but Adobe being so used by many people, you've got tutorials out there. And for me, the tutorials are useful because it's popular enough, or it's like used by enough industry. The number of tutorials and the production level of the tutorials is basically superb. Like you can't get better. Maybe Sony Vegas has more highly produced videos, tutorials and like explanations, but I doubt there's as many people using Sony as there are using Adobe. When you get into the freeware, the open source stuff, either there hasn't been enough demand, no one's created the thing, I find that, or they're nerdy and they're so complicated because the stuff is open source and requires a bit of knowledge that it's much more difficult. Where with Adobe, it's more like discovering where the menu is and understanding how the control panel works. Sometimes it's a lot more nuts and bolts with some of the open source. I don't mean to dissuade, but when I'm also going to address the computer size, I'm dealing with a computer that I don't even know how old it is. Super old. It's an old computer, and it's basically full. So when I was using the Power Director, it wasn't a big deal. That's, I'd say, medium-sized software. The Windows software is built into Windows, so it's not big or small. It's just in Windows. The Power Director is medium size. The Adobe is massive. It's like 4 gigs or something. It's massive software. It needs to be updated all the time, so it's always growing, and it's obnoxious. You create large files in it. You know, the editable like project file is huge, and then we're talking about huge video files or image files. So we're creating huge files. We're using a lot of RAM, so definitely processor heavy. The open source stuff was as resource heavy. It's not as large, but it's certainly as resource heavy. And the open source stuff that I experimented with when I had originally been gifted a subscription to Adobe, and for years I was able to use a subscription to Adobe as a gift, so it cost $0, and that's when I got hooked on it, and I really got knowledge on using the certain programs. And then I didn't have the subscription for, I don't know, a while, and I experimented. I used some of the other softwares out there, and some are certainly capable, but as soon as I thoroughly investigated those, I went back to Adobe. It was worth paying for Adobe to get rid of some of the growing pain type hassles, the knowledge, like the necessity to learn new software and processes, just a different navigation and editor was going to take a learning curve, but I suspect it wouldn't have been an issue if I would have gone from Windows to Power Director and then straight into open source. Obviously then I'd have been more familiar with the open source, but there certainly is resource intensive. I like Snob's idea of going and getting a capable, inexpensive laptop used, or like you said, at a pawn shop, dedicated to it. I think that's, if you've got the ability to do that, as opposed to trying to do something more with the laptop you're already probably overusing, that's a great idea to start a project or to start a channel or something.
Yeah, I'm telling you, pawn shops for me anyways are where I bought, most of my DSLR came from pawn shops. My Blue Yeti microphone I use, just tons of stuff. My laptop, I just keep going to pawn shops, and there's a lot of times you won't find any deals there, but if you go often enough, you can usually find pretty good deals on camera stuff.
It's worth saying what you're looking for too, because if you certain, like in Tucson, if I went into a pawn shop and said I'm looking for XYZ, and I went in there more than 2-3 times, the first time somebody brings in XYZ, they know that I'm coming in trolling for that item, right? I might even have left my card, so they're going to go. I mean, that's probably a thing too. You could leave your card, say, hey, next time somebody brings in XYZ, unless you always buy them, like, give me a call, and I'm going to ask you if it's, got this accessory or something, or what RAM it's got. And if it's good to go, then grab it,
Yeah, and another thing, like the pawn shops I shop at a lot in Tulsa, the Easy Pawn, the chain ones, I've just had real good luck with them. And, a lot of those people that work there, they shuffle between stores, because they'll be short somebody at one store, so they'll send somebody from that store to another store. And I go in there and I'm telling them, hey, I'm looking for a Canon T6i, whenever I was looking for one of them all the time. Like, oh, well, we don't have any here, but the pawn shop at 31st and Garnett had 3 of them the other day. So,
I'm cutting you off unless somebody's got something to say there. Tim said something that made me think on the gun channel side. He said that $3,700. Is that what he's saying? A $3,700 laptop would pay for every SIG pistol I want. Who's buying a $3,700 laptop? Did somebody say that?
I didn't know.
Okay, so somebody linked to one. Is that what Knives linked to over there? A $3,700 laptop. So that made me think, though. So made me ask this question. I'm going to go left to right on the panel, and I'd be certainly interested to hear everybody's answer to this one in the live chat right now. And then, Pancake's probably listening because he steals ideas from everybody else's good shows to make his slop on Sundays. But if other shows want to steal this one and ask everybody that you can think of, do you enjoy shooting? Do you enjoy your Second Amendment life more that you share it with the world and the internet and with cameras, or not? And I think I know the answer, but I'm just going to go left, right, quickly. Cycle.
No.
Okay. Dead Horse.
No.
Gizzard.
I'd have to say yes.
Dano.
Yes.
Snob.
My mute button left me. I don't enjoy it when I'm shooting the camera, so no.
Interesting. Yeah, I couldn't say yes ever more. So how do you guys? Why are you saying no? I thought it would be a yes all the way around.
Well, first we have to almost define it. I think of what we're doing right now as social media.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, back in the day, we are all old enough to remember before there was an internet. You went to the range and you went home. You went to gun shows. Maybe you talked to people. You went home. You went to the gun shop. Maybe you talked to people. You went home. You bought a magazine, right? If you knew people that you knew, you talked to them about guns once in a while. And then you'd talk about, whatever was on TV, or you talk about the band or something, or where you're going that weekend. Guns were not a daily topic at all. And I enjoy having guns being a daily topic. But I mean,
maybe I misunderstood the question. I was thinking actually being outside shooting my gun, and having to worry about the video while I'm trying to shoot. That's what I was talking about.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought too. That's why I was like, no, I don't want to be like on camera and like be like under like that.
No, I'm saying, do you enjoy your Second Amendment? Do you enjoy your gun hobby, your interest in guns and firearms more now that we have cameras and we're sharing it with the internet? Or
absolutely. If that's how you're asking it, yes.
Okay, yeah. So I guess clearing it up. Anybody change their answer?
Yes. Yeah, I changed mine to yes. I thought you meant me on camera.
Yeah, because when I go out back to shoot, it's so much more peaceful and fun when I don't have to drag camera equipment out there, set that up, deal with that, and all that.
Psycho Camp?
Psycho Camp, are you changing the answer? Or are you still?
No, I'm not changing my answer.
So you don't enjoy being in here chatting with us? Okay.
That's not what you asked.
So
you are now conflating the question to force the answer you want to hear.
Yeah, for 6 years.
Well, see, I already had a lot of friends before I came up here.
Oh, you bad boy! I'd slap you.
No, seriously. As much as I enjoy this, it is a source of great stress in my life because now I am, because I'm on the wrong coast and it's really late at night, and and now I have to do all this 2A stuff, and I have to go give testimony in front of people that hate me, and I was happy when I was just shooting guns and blissfully ignorant.
Hashtag old white man problems.
Well,
yeah, basically.
We all were before we became self-aware that this is a battle that never ends.
Right, but you asked the question, do I enjoy it more now? And I'd have to say there's a lot of baggage that comes with it. And for me, it's, I wouldn't say it's worse, but I wouldn't say it's a hell of a lot better.
No, that's valid. You're allowed to have a position. But I think I was asking that because, I guess the question, a $3,700 laptop would pay for every SIG I bought. I mean, I'm super cheap and I'm not looking to buy the neatest or fanciest equipment out there, but I certainly enjoy having a phone that's, super science fiction. And, owning a phone, I can't imagine owning a phone and not having something awesome to do with it. I guess, having some other hobby and taking pictures of it, I'd be doing something with my phone, but, to have like whatever phone that is that Clover's got now, you imagine having that and all you do with it is text or like use it as a telephone or something boring. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think that it's super neat that we've got some of the coolest stuff ever. We got these wicked cool phones that we can zap stuff up to satellites and around the world. We can put them on platforms of our own or platforms that are, some of the largest in the world, and we can have presence there, and we can contribute to a massive conversation, and it happens to be about freaking firearms. And like
There
I
could
say,
be
man, it's just the neatest thing ever. And then, like I say, we're able to do it about firearms. And there's got to be countries where they can't, right?
Is there a downside to that though? Is it like maybe not as many people are going to gun stores to talk guns and stuff like that, because of the interwebs?
I don't know.
Honestly, if I think back, I think I probably went to gun stores more before the internet and there was gun forums and stuff like that. I probably honestly went to gun stores more, but maybe it was just because I was younger. So I don't know. It's hard to say, but I used to go to gun stores basically just to stop at a gun store sometimes, even knowing I didn't have money to buy a gun, but I wanted to look at guns, talk guns. I mean,
Gun stores' role has changed, so that's got to be a part of it. I don't disagree with you. I mean, I go to a lot of gun stores. I might go to more gun stores than some people, overall over the last few years, and going to gun stores at all different times. It's not like I hang out in every gun store I go to for a long time or nothing, but just having a bunch of experience walking into shops and stuff, and then doing that compared to over the years. And now you brought that up, thinking about what gun shops were. Gun shops certainly play a different role now. So to some extent, there's no free lunch, and it's up to the gun shops to evolve along with, there's just their whatever we're called, culture, community, industry, and they should be working with the internet and not butting heads against it. But man, I can't say yes to that, only because the conversation. I do hang out in some gun shops a lot, and the conversations that happen there are almost all from the internet. Like, whereas back in the old days, it would have been from like whatever the NRA's magazine was, or maybe like whatever was locally in the news at the time. That's where we would have gotten our topics for conversation, or maybe something that happened at the range this weekend. Something we know about locally. But now the conversations are coming from forums and from chats like this, and from somebody will put out a video about a thing, or a event will happen like SHOT Show.
Something that's just a side note here. I just received in the mail the other day my 1-inch thick Natchez catalog. How many people get full catalogs anymore? I can't think of any.
I get one from Jason from what's the thing called? Harbor Freight. I was going to say JC Whitney, but Harbor Freight, I get that one.
Yeah,
I get a big catalog from Cabela's every year.
You got to ask for that. I don't get a Cabela's out of nowhere anymore. Sportsman's Guide still has, Sportsman's Warehouse out of Minnesota still has catalogs. But you'd still have to ask for them. They don't just send them like back in the day. If you were on a list, you got them forever, right? Till the internet happened.
Yeah, I never requested it, but I bought stuff from them.
Oh, well, that's the same. And then what about Brownells? Anybody get Brownells catalogs? Those are reference guides almost, right? Brownells catalogs and the Natchez are, they're kind of like, you'd have to have them in a gun shop. I mean, they're useful to identify things and to figure out what your options are. I mean, they're like a faster than the internet way of figuring out, I need a handguard for this gun, what all works on it. Go to that gun's page, and here's all the accessories for it.
Yeah, I get a lot of stuff like what I'll call more like quarterly or monthly flyers, like from Midway and stuff like that. But I wouldn't call them a catalog. I'd call them more like a flyer.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest. My bathroom drawers are a lot cleaner since I don't get catalogs in the mail.
Does anybody go to the shop or wherever, trade show, NRA show, to get the printed stuff? They'll still make a printed catalog each year. It's like a thing of pride and tradition for some companies to have a printed catalog to be their product guide or whatever, and a reference for that year's models and options and stuff. So does anybody collect those? I have a couple of companies. I keep them whenever I can grab one. I grab a new one.
I literally have a box down here of catalogs that I grabbed last year at the NRA show. Worst mistake of my life, by the way, because my backpack the first day was so heavy, I thought I was going to die before I got to the car with it. So I learned quickly you don't take every catalog that they try to hand you. Just say no thanks. And yeah, and I haven't really looked at them since. Every now and then I'll dig out one to look up something. But I have quite a collection of them from last year, and I won't be getting any this year, I can promise you, unless it just really interests me. Did it die?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
uncalled for, unprecedented dead air. Middle
I
of
thought I killed it.
show. We've never had dead air before.
Yeah, you know, they say that approximately every 20 minutes there's a natural pause in every conversation.
That's why we have people like Dano supposed to be in here every 18 minutes, throwing a new topic out there, like a new piece of meat on the grill. It's the sizzle.
You know, I will add one other thing to that, though, about the cost of stuff. I was thinking the other day when I was wanting a new gun, I was thinking, you know, if I hadn't just spent all that money on these new cameras and new mics and all that stuff, I literally spent almost $2,000 since January. I could have bought a couple of nice new guns that I wouldn't have, you know, that I would have been able to buy had I not been doing this YouTube stuff, just to be honest.
Yep, I don't care. I'm going to say thanks for doing it because number one, $2,000 worth of guns, 3 guns, 4 guns, depending on what you're buying. You know, maybe 2 to 1 company, 3 different companies, 4 different companies, maybe. You putting that money into cameras, you're going to do work with that. You're moving to different events. You know, you're creating a project, a channel, and that's going to inspire somebody else either to join and do, you know, stuff collaboratively with you or similar to what you did, or challenge them to do something differently or like better or whatever, right? So you're bringing people to the game. And yeah, buying a gun and whatever, that's important for the commodity as capitalists and whatever. But if you bring 3 or 4 people to the game, how many guns do they buy? So yeah, it might be a decision that doesn't seem obvious, but I hope that I can make it, you know, a better whatever in your mind, because I appreciate it. And again, owning a few firearms and putting them in a safe does nothing for the future. More I watch about AI and the way the future's going, everything we're laying, cycle, I don't know if we've talked about this, but everything we're laying down now is here, correct? Like it's there forever. As AI starts to interpret all knowledge that exists, the stuff that we're adding now is being part of that equation, or am I crazy?
Oh, yeah. Not, oh, yeah, you're crazy. Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know, Cycle's on the other side of the hall again or something. But anyway, I think that's a thing. And I think that, you know, the people that are doing the stuff now when it's not easy or comfortable or established or profitable, bravo, hats off to you. I'm having fun doing it. It makes it better. It makes it more fun to have other people involved with it. And as I see people with different opinions and perspectives and skill sets and equipment and, you know, interests add to it, it brings more and more people to it. What it's all fucking about. Thanks everybody for showing up. I'm just going to end it on that. I think that's a good place to end it so we don't go all night. Thanks for showing up. We'll be back next week.